I do not fear you.
ヒデ君、私、純子、リカバリーセンターで一緒だった。覚えてる？
ああ、純子か。
消える方法っていろいろあるんです。一番ゆっくりな方法はそのままここに居続けること。
薬飲まなきゃ。
It has been almost 6 years since Crimson Desert was first revealed to the world. Across that period, developer Pearl Abyss has shown off a huge array of ideas, mechanics, and boss battles. It's frequently been cited as something of an everything game. An open-world adventure with sky islands, mechanical dragons, wrestling moves, interdimensional gateways, interacting elemental effects, and even a Spider-Man web swing. But the more that's been revealed, the more there's been the sense that Crimson Desert may be a lot of pieces in need of a whole. Finding that complete picture was my main objective objective when I visited Pearl Abyss's studio in Seoul for this month's IGN First. And while I can't say I found it yet, multiple hours of hands-on playtime has revealed a game that's maybe not as strange as you'd expect. In fact, Crimson Desert feels pretty straightforward. Pearl Abyss has crafted a reasonably traditional open-world adventure, made up of multiple regions peppered with towns, outposts, and castles. There's the usual collection of main and optional quests, plus classic distractions like fishing. You'd be forgiven for not realizing this though. Pearl Abyss has put almost all of its promotional efforts into showcasing boss fights. Not only that, but Crimson Desert's blend of traditional medieval fantasy with sci-fi and steampunk elements does make it seem like it's being pulled in several directions at once.
In order to destroy such a weapon, you'll need to acquire Golden Star's power core.
Golden Star.
When you're on the ground and seeing how all these elements interact though, it doesn't feel quite so alien. The continent of Pywell is perhaps less like a typical Tolkien-esque fantasy world and more akin to Dungeons & Dragons, a setting that, in recent years, was host to a Mad Max-like vehicular chase through hell. Pearl Abyss's design team explained that they wanted Pywell to reflect the variety of our reality, in which some countries feel much more futuristic than others, and note that some of Pywell's leaders may be more resistant to the advancement of technology than others, a conflict that'll be explored through various faction quests. All this means that the variety doesn't feel artificial or there simply for the sake of being wild, even when you're at the controls of a flying battle robot, which was, of course, designed by dwarven engineers. The inclusion of these mechanized and steampunk elements grant Pearl Abyss the creative license to build quests that are a significant departure from anything we'd see in something like Skyrim. A major part of my hands-on time involved completing a quest for Marnie, a scientific genius who cloned his own consciousness to create an AI-like entity called Hall. Naturally, the results of such an experiment have gone very wrong, and Marnie's evil digital magic twin has taken command of a flying fortress that's terrorizing Pywell's skies. Defeating Hall requires the use of a power core, which Marnie reveals is hidden inside a weapon called Golden Star. And by weapon, he means a giant mechanical dragon. While they presumably have ballistic missiles in Pywell, what with the advanced engineering and all, of course the fantasy version of a nuke is flying Mechagodzilla. All that stands between me and this winged menace is a fortress filled with angry battle robots. It appears that fortress assaults will be a significant recurring objective in Crimson Desert, considering that my hands-on time involved no fewer than 3 of them. I can see why Pearl Abyss was keen to show them off, as they are a showcase for some of the project's strongest achievements. There's a great sense of atmosphere, with a legion of men from either side battling the living hell out of each other, and you're caught in the middle of it all. Fun mechanical wrinkles add texture. During one attack, I was able to fire signaling arrows that were quickly followed by a bombardment of artillery, decimating enemy soldiers and reducing buildings to splinters. In another, I was able to circumnavigate the brutal melee entirely, sneaking into the castle through a crumbling wall and using the prison as a shortcut to the boss. And in my fight through the robot fortress, a backpack-mounted EMP device allowed me to fry the circuits of both the lumbering ground threats and airborne bug bots in one giant blast. There's always something new to try, something to experiment with. But as much as these fortress assaults are a demonstration of Crimson Desert's highs, they also simultaneously reveal what could turn out to be some of its biggest blemishes. Battling masses of enemies is surprisingly tedious, feeling messy and repetitive rather than an engaging chain of frontline fights. An awkward lock-on feature pushed me away from one-on-one duels into a more freeform playstyle, but that came with the baggage of imprecise strikes and occasionally kicking the air instead of faces. Absolutely none of these issues hamper the boss battles, which was my only experience of Crimson Desert prior to this demonstration, and I was quite surprised at how different combat can feel in alternative scenarios, even when using the same moveset. It's in these smaller, less refined details where Crimson Desert threatens to lose itself. There are occasions where you need to pick up and manipulate objects, such as planting a banner to inspire your allies. Doing so requires standing still, turning to face the object, activating a focus mode, rapidly tapping a button to lift your target, and then finally using your telekinetic powers to manually move it. All of this is a slightly baffling annoyance when erecting flags, but it turns into a genuine frustration in the middle of a boss battle, when you're desperately trying to swing a fallen masonry column during the precious few seconds when the boss is stunned. Thankfully, no such awkward Ultra Hand juggling is required to extract the power core from Golden Star. As we explored earlier this month in our Making of feature, this is a boss fight with a unique mechanic that must be discovered in the quite literal heat of battle. The dragon's flaming breath activates an array of pylons dotted around the arena, which then dispense EMP bombs that you can fire from an arm-mounted cannon. The system creates a repeating phase loop. Golden Star circles above, belching the flames that produce the EMP bombs that will eventually bring him crashing to the ground, where you can unleash a barrage of strikes until he reboots and begins the cycle anew. Pearl Abyss are keen to point out that you don't have to do this. You could, for instance, use lightning-reefed arrows to apply a stun, or simply chip away at his health bar with ranged attacks. But I feel that the real enjoyment in all of Crimson Desert's boss fights have been finding the unique mechanic built into the arena or even the enemy itself. Bosses are not the only thing in need of conquering. Suspended high above Pywall are a scattering of Abyss islands, accessed through portals that are unlocked with mysterious Abyss artifacts. These islands appear to come in multiple guises. Last year we saw that one of them is home to an alchemist called Alastin and his Library of Providence, and my hands-on session included one that was more akin to Zelda's puzzle shrines. Its checkerboard floor was essentially a room-sized circuit board in need of a total rewiring, and finding the correct path through the grid of rotating flagstones unlocks the island's treasure trove. This is, of course, the sort of puzzle you've solved in everything from Watch Dogs to Bioshock, but I enjoyed how your equipment is integral to completing it. Your lantern illuminates the correct pathway, and your grapple hook is used to spin each tile. So while this challenge is not particularly taxing, I hope its solid foundations are the basis for more interesting puzzles that await among the clouds. When you've uncovered an Abyss Island's secrets, you can leap off the side and float down to Earth, where plenty more traditional open world fare awaits. There are towns to visit, in which you'll find shopkeepers to trade with and bounties to take on. Out in the wilderness, there are camps to clear out and roaming barbarians to slaughter. And then there's the factions. From what I glimpse in the menus, there are dozens and dozens of them, although some will be more important than others, I'm told. A few have their own quest lines, such as House Wells, a family of nobles led by a duke who's lost his castle to rebel forces, a situation that's the catalyst for one of those aforementioned fortress assaults. Pearl Abyss was quick to clarify that these groups are not like Fallout's factions, and allegiances with them won't change the course of the story or impact Crimson Desert's ending, which is set in stone. And so I'm left wondering, what are the faction quests in aid of? When asked, Pearl Abyss's design team explained that they were there to ensure that the factions felt like significant actors in the plot, and that they offered more content for players to complete. That considered, I am a little apprehensive that at least some of Crimson Desert's offerings will be stuff to do rather than meaningful interlinked opportunities. That brings us back to my very first question. What is Crimson Desert as a whole? I know it's a vast open world with deep, fighting game-inspired combat that works better against bosses than it does against fodder. It's got spectacle-laden quests that take you from in-the-mud castle assaults all the way up to aerial dogfights. And it's littered with good-time distractions, from fishing and bounties to taming bears and buckling up in a battle mech. But I'm still waiting to discover the glue between all this that elevates an open world to new heights. Shadow of Mordor has the Nemesis system, which chains its enemies together into a foe-conquering big picture. Red Dead Redemption 2's systems are united by a pursuit of realism and authenticity that makes its campaign feel like a life lived rather than a game played. And this year's Ghost of Yotai links every activity on its map to a new unlock on your skill tree, ensuring even little diversions are a growth opportunity. That's the stuff that's so far been missing from Crimson Desert's demonstrations, and the thing I hope will eventually be revealed when I get to play multiple consecutive hours rather than a collection of isolated quests and bosses. Without it, I still think Crimson Desert stands a solid chance at being an overall good time, but with it, it could become something much more special. For more from Crimson Desert, check out our Combat Explainer and our showcase of every boss battle revealed so far. And for everything else, stick with IGN.
The Archelites. They released the corrosion upon the planet. A ravening blight that would slowly turn everything it touched into nightmarish caricatures of themselves. We eventually won the war, but the corrosion remained. No one prays for salvation. They only yearn for a swift, painless death. But this time, the gods are silent. Only mankind remains.
What did you do to me?
Nothing that you couldn't do before.
Look at you. A child playing at greater things.
A black beast. So that's who I am now.
This is the corrosion's only known law: to gather and grow, to unite its corruption into one putrid mass, and create the biggest, baddest, and ugliest of monsters. What price would be acceptable to pay in order to rid the world of the corrosion?
Remember, the vault doors are sealed for your safety. Do not attempt to reach the surface. The surface is unsafe.
This wasn't the world I wanted, but it was the one I found myself in.
We need someone who can bring the whole Commonwealth together in a common cause. And I think you've got it in you to be that leader. What do you say?
So, I know you're from a vault. How would you describe your time on the inside?
I'm going to get my son back. I'm going to find him.
I believe the term is Yahoo.
Another beautiful day. In the most dangerous place in the world.
It's the end of the world. All over again. Let's go, pal.
PlayStation.
Welcome, and thank you for joining. I'm your host, Maggie Robertson. Today, we're giving you a briefing on all things Resident Evil, including a look back on its terrifying legacy, so you can be prepared to take on the series' latest installment, Resident Evil Requiem, releasing February 27th, 2026. I'm also thrilled to announce that pre-orders for Resident Evil Requiem begin today. Are you ready for the horrors ahead? To prepare you for Resident Evil Requiem, we've created a special recap. A look back at how we got here, the legendary characters, the unforgettable terrors, and the chilling details that may be important to remember as you continue to venture into the nightmare that awaits. So let's begin with the events leading up to the 1998 Raccoon City incident. Many years prior, a group of researchers discovered the progenitor virus in Africa. Among these researchers was Oswell E. Spencer, a man of immense wealth and influence. Together, they founded the Umbrella Corporation, which on the surface seemed like an ordinary pharmaceutical company. But Umbrella's true purpose, driven by Spencer's ambition to reshape humanity, was to advance virus research and bioweapons development. Many years later, one of Spencer's collaborators, James Marcus, would successfully develop the T-virus. However, in 1998, the virus leaked from a research facility in Raccoon City, located in the American Midwest. The virus spread throughout the city, triggering an unprecedented pandemic and mutating its residents into flesh-eating zombies. Only the bravest souls were fearless enough to fight the infected and the monstrous bioweapons born from the T-virus. Rookie cop Leon S. Kennedy, college student Claire Redfield, STARS agent Jill Valentine, and a handful of others were able to prevail and eventually flee the city. Fearing further spread, the US government launched a sterilization operation, destroying Raccoon City. The Umbrella Corporation eventually went bankrupt due to the mounting evidence brought to light. However, its legacy lives on. And as for the survivors, their story was just beginning. Some, like Raccoon City journalist Alyssa Ashcroft, sought to expose Umbrella's darkest secrets. Some hunted the bioterrorists who weaponized Umbrella's research. Others set out to unveil the real truth behind the government's sterilization operation. The aftershocks of the Raccoon City incident would be felt for decades to come, and coincide with other increasingly frequent bioweapon-related outbreaks. Caught up in one such bioweapon-related tragedy was an ordinary man by the name of Ethan Winters. Ethan was searching for his missing wife, Mia. Following an anonymous email, he finds himself in the bowels of the bayou at the Baker estate, where he's greeted by a deranged family infected by a horrifying ailment. Ethan fought to escape their madness and rescue his wife. 3 years later, Ethan would face a new nightmare. This time, his baby daughter Rose is taken away by Chris Redfield, the legendary hero who survived countless bioterror incidents. Ethan's quest to rescue his daughter led him to a mysterious, treacherous village ruled by Mother Miranda and the Four Lords. Like the Baker family, the village residents were turned into nightmarish creatures. And those four powerful lords, well, one of them was more powerful and stunning than the others. What a goddess. Oh, my apologies. Now, where was I? Mother Miranda, who shares a deep connection with Umbrella founder Oswell E. Spencer, played a key role behind the village incident. Separately, it was revealed that an insidious force known simply as the Connections was operating from the shadows and also played a key role in the incident. To this day, little is known about the Connections. Resident Evil Requiem will be available for PlayStation 5 on February 27th, 2026. The series' newest, most chilling installment, where you'll play FBI analyst Grace Ashcroft as she confronts her haunted past and uncovers the truth behind the Raccoon City incident. Prepare yourself for a new chapter of Resident Evil and a story that pushes the series forward, using gameplay that has evolved in terrifying new ways. You'll be able to choose between 2 editions, Standard and Deluxe. The Deluxe Edition includes the same base game as the Standard Edition, plus an exclusive pack of costumes and weapon skins. And for pre-orders, players will also get the exclusive Grace's Costume Apocalypse. But for those of you that simply cannot wait to jump back into the world of Resident Evil, you're in luck. We've severed the price on multiple Resident Evil titles to make your Halloween more heart-pounding, hair-raising, and bone-chilling than ever. As you may know, Resident Evil is celebrating 30 years of terror, with many more nightmares soon to come. While our time today has come to an end, we hope to see you again very soon during the Resident Evil Showcase early next year, where we'll descend even deeper into all things Resident Evil Requiem. Thank you all for joining.
Alyssa died 8 years ago. Perhaps it's time for you to face the past.
Grace. They're coming.
Grace, confront that fear.
Miss Ashcroft. Come in.
What is happening here?
There's no escaping your destiny.
Hey! Help! What did you hide behind that painting?
We have so much to do.
Who are you? Why me?
PlayStation